Hello, guys, and welcome back to the penultimate episode of Celebrity Big Brother. And we have got a shocking backdoor eviction for this episode to talk about. Oh my god, they've done this now 2 seasons in a row, and I feel like it's gonna become one of the sort of trends that ITV does with Big Brother. But my god, this was fantastic. This is a fantastic episode. The twist is essentially the final six, you vote to win. The person with the least amount of votes before the finale gets evicted. And honestly, I'm not surprised. It came down to two people for me, and I was hoping one would go, but the other one went. And I was like, okay, either way, it doesn't really change what I think is going to happen in the finale, but it is where it is. But you guys are doing a fantastic job. The support on the last couple of episodes of Celebrity Big Brother have not been great, but it's fine. I know I'm very, very behind, and I was sort of bracing myself for that kind of fall off. But the people who have been watching, thank you very, very much. I do appreciate it massively. You guys are absolutely fantastic people. We're on the road to 800 subscribers, which is absolutely crazy. You guys are doing bits at the moment. We've made 500, we made 600, we made 700. So get us to 800 as quick as possible, because, I got to set you new milestones, guys. You guys are doing fabulously. So let's keep on doing fabulously. So without much further ado, let's get on with the video. So the first thing I want to talk about is a conversation between Fern and Louis about the impact of the show and how it helps people's careers. I very much do believe Fern is in here to sort of revitalize her career. No one's really seen her since this morning. She's done a few things, but nothing huge and big in the in the public eye, I guess. This is sort of like the first big show that she's done in a while, and she's trying to use it to revitalize her career. I think she's done a good job. I think she's reintroduced herself to a new generation of people who might not have been alive or might not have been sort of watching this morning when she was on it. I think she's come across in a interesting way. I would certainly not watch her. But she's not been my favourite on this series. She was in like week 1 going into week 2, and then I don't know, it kind of just fell off for me. She started behaving a little bit erratically, and I do think that she's come in with the goal of helping her career. I think that's genuinely what's happened. She is a lovely, lovely woman, don't get me wrong, but there is an element of gameplay with her. However, she also does know a lot about Big Brother, which I didn't expect her to know. She knew that Alison Hammond's career was started on Big Brother. She knew some like very, very like specific details. Like she went out very, very early in like week 2. She broke a table. Kind of like her iconic moments, but still it was sort of like a that's an interesting thing. And Louis was very much sort of talking about how Alison Hammond has done so well in the industry because she's such a lovely person and great to work with. And Fern did completely agree with him, and I thought that was very interesting. It was a very, very great conversation, and I gotta say, when Fern isn't doing random crazy stuff, she does actually have some beautiful conversations with people, especially with Bradley in this episode. She had a conversation with him about sort of him growing up, and sort of how he dealt with himself and sort of his neurodivergency and things like that. And I just found it really interesting and really heartwarming to see her sort of take all of that on board and sort of realize she's a very, very good interviewer. She's been doing it for donkey's years, and she knows how to get good answers out of people. So yeah, I do rate that from her, I won't lie. So speaking of Fern having conversations with people, I found it very, very interesting that Big Brother set her a task to interview some of the housemates. But it was a bit of a weird one because we only ever got to see 2 of the interviews. We got to see an interview with David and an interview with Nikita. So, like, where was her interview with Coulson? Where was her interview with Louis? Where was her interview with... Oh, well, she kind of had a conversation with Bradley a little bit earlier. So I guess it was just really Louis and Coulson. I wonder maybe whether they were filmed, but there wasn't actually any interesting content in there, so they just decided not to show it. Whereas with David and Nikita, there was something interesting to show. With David, we got to hear his sort of coming out story, sort of how he got bullied in school in year 8, and then he sort of came home, told his mum that he thought he was gay, and then she was like, "Do you want me to tell your dad?" And he went, "Yes." And then his dad came upstairs after being told and was like, "Yo, it's all chill. That's fine." It was a really heartwarming story, I thought, actually, and this is what I mean by like every single episode. I feel like we peel a layer back on the onion that is David, and I'm slowly getting to know more and more about him. And actually, I think he'd be an absolutely fantastic winner if I'm being 100% honest. I do think it's going to come down to Louis and David, but I'll talk more about that in a little bit. But either way, it was a very, very interesting outcome. As for Nikita, he was talking about how he grew up in Kiev, and how he moved at the age of 10, I think. And he said how sort of his career in TV has been able to relocate his parents and give them a lovely life in London, I think is what he was saying. Honestly, it was last night. It's been a night, and I'm tired. I can't remember all the details, but that's what I do remember about it. It was interesting. It is interesting to learn more about Nikita, but I don't know. There's just not much there that is making me invested in him as a person. Yeah, he's sweet. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. I'm just tired of boring people making it to the final because like the public think they're cute. So it's time to talk about the rendezvous point, and I think this was an interesting challenge. There's a lot of people. Let me talk a little bit about the sort of idea of it first. There's a lot of people that really hate the idea of bringing in friends and family, allowing them to have letters from home, because you're meant to be cut off from the outside world. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it, because were there some good moments in there? Absolutely. But I do kind of agree with the fact they shouldn't have like contact with the outside world. None of them really said anything that was like, "Oh, you're coming across really well," or like the public love you or something like that. There was nothing like that for the most part, but yeah, I don't know. It does just feel a bit weird sometimes. I'm not fussed. I don't watch this show as a Big Brother purist, wanting it to be exactly how it was back in the day. Things have to move with the times. They have to be different. They have to be progressive. And I think nowadays, like, I don't care about them having a little bit of contact with their family. I think if anything, it just increases the drive to get to the end, or kills the drive a little bit because they're like, "Oh, now I want to go home." I think it gives them something to either fight for or leave for. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. But either way, let's get on to actually what happened. David was up first, and he was met by a friend, and it was a really, really sweet time. I'm pretty sure I met David's friend, or not met, but like I saw him at the live launch show. I think that was the same person. He seemed very lovely indeed. And lots of energy, which I feel like if you're gonna be David's friend, you got to have lots of energy, which is quite funny. That was a really nice conversation. Then Louis, Sanita came along. Like Sanita, like I really didn't expect Sanita to be there. That was an odd one. That was really surprising. I thought I don't actually know. Has Louis Walsh got children? Has he got a partner? Like, I actually don't know. But the fact that Sanita was the person that came along for him was absolutely hilarious. She gave him a t-shirt with like her song on it, Toy Boy, which is an absolute certified banger. And she also told him that he's the only person in the house that isn't nice, which was so funny. I feel like he took everything in jest. because Sunita was like putting him on blast for everything he's done, and he was like, "Oh, it's just so great to see you." And she was like, I can't believe you've said all those things. You're such a horrible person," like being like jokey. But yeah, it was interesting to watch, and I gotta say it was probably my favorite out of all of them, I gotta say. As for Coulson was met by his mum, and it was another really, really sweet conversation. There wasn't really much else I could say about this, other than it was sweet and it was cute, and yeah. Fern was met by her daughter, which was quite cute, I guess, and they were talking about the cat, and saying how the cats like are really, really settling in well. I don't know. There was a lot of talk about cats. I was like, does everybody in this cast have a fucking cat? Oh god. And then Nikita was met by his girlfriend, and it was again really, really cute. Apparently his parents are going to be making him limoncello from the lemons on his tree, which was a really odd conversation, but yeah, sure. But yeah, on the whole, it was an interesting time. The rendezvous point was fun. It's nice they only get a minute. It's very sort of strict, and that's it. But other than that, you'll probably notice that I have missed somebody out, and that's because we've got to talk about them. Very sadly, Bradley was the person who was evicted from the Big Brother house in a shock backdoor eviction. I didn't know how they were going to do it. We obviously saw them evict Matty during Letters from Home in the previous series, so we all wondered whether someone's family member would come in and deliver the news, which I feel like would have been really, really harsh. I feel like that would have been really tough to watch. Like someone's mum comes in and be like, "I'm really sorry, but you're coming home with me." So I'm glad that Slay J Adudu came in and sort of delivered the news. She looked genuinely heartbroken for Bradley, and I feel like this was a moment of wow, okay. Right. Thank you. I'm gonna go say goodbye to the housemates and then leave. It was a little bit chaotic, a little bit crazy. I really didn't expect it to be Bradley. Bradley was I mean, out of everyone, I thought it'd be Coulson, and then I thought it would be Bradley. But I don't know. This was really upsetting. But I also this is where Twitter is horrific, because half of the people were like, "Oh, this wasn't harsh enough. He should have been allowed to say goodbye. He shouldn't have he should have just left straight away. There should have been an audience outside waiting." And I just think, have you? And then there's the other side that are like, "Oh, have you ever taken into consideration that maybe this was actually because he is neurodivergent, and a big crowd cheering him might set off his anxiety, especially when he's been evicted from the house. So there's like a clear lack of support out of the 5 people in the house, or the 6 people in the house. It just might trigger him, and therefore he might have requested a backdoor exit, or I don't know, something along those lines. I don't know. That's just what Twitter's saying. Then there's like a third group of people that are like, "This is disgusting. How dare they treat a neurodivergent person like this, etc., etc. ITV really need to work this out." And I have things to say to all those people. Firstly, letting them say goodbye is absolutely fine. Everybody else gets to say their goodbyes when they're evicted on eviction night, so why can't he say goodbye? What's the difference? I don't see it. What's the difference between him being given the news that he's being evicted and then just getting to say his goodbyes, grabbing his stuff and going? There's no difference, in my personal opinion. Back in the day when it was done live with an audience out there and they just left without a goodbye, probably to do with time more than Big Brother being mean. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like that's just ridiculous. Let's just leave that. To the people who are like, "Oh, Bradley shouldn't have, they shouldn't have done that to Bradley." Firstly, should have saved him then, because clearly there was a lack of support behind him, and if there had been more support behind him, then he could have avoided this. Secondly, they're not going to change their plans just because he ended up being the person least voted. You guys have a duty of care. The public decides who goes, not the show. The show had this plan in place, either from the beginning of the series or from the point where they were like, we're now opening this vote. So clearly, you guys let him down. If anyone's to blame here, it's you guys, not the show. You guys should have saved him. Not to be that person, but that's just how I feel. I don't feel like we should be like, oh, like I don't think he seemed that triggered or upset or crushed. I think he was crushed in the moment, but then he was like, actually, I'm fine with it. I get to say goodbye to everyone. He seemed content, and I don't know. I'll have to watch his exit interview, but like I'm sure he's chill with it. I don't think it was as big a deal as people on Twitter were making it out to be. Twitter's a crazy place sometimes, and sometimes it just people need to actually get a life. Really, really need to get a life because I'm sick of it. Sick and tired. So that is it. Our 5 finalists are rather shockingly Coulson Smith, Nikita. I don't remember his surname. Something. Nikita. What was it? Kuzmin? I think it was. We've got Fern Britton. We've got Louis Walsh. And we've got David Potts. What a fantastic finalists. A group of finalists. Interesting. Let me give my predictions. My predictions for how tomorrow is going to go is 5th place, Coulson. Now, this is where it gets tough, because currently on Twitter, the polls are saying it's David, Nikita, Louis, Fern. But I think it's going to be David, Louis, Fern, Nikita. I don't think Fern's coming lower than 3rd place. But I could be wrong. This is the thing. This is so difficult to judge because I'm fairly certain I got the last finale really wrong. I think I said Jordan, Yinran, Olivia, Henry Noki, or Noki Henry. I can't remember exactly. But like I got it really wrong because Yinran was 4th, which was crazy, and Olivia was 2nd. So like what was going on there? But I feel like this one, I think David's a sure shot to win. Or Louis. One of those two is winning. And my mum's already said that she thinks it's a fix if Louis wins. And I don't think it will be because they released the voting figures. So it would be interesting. But either way, I don't really care who wins out of... Well, I don't really care who wins out of Louis or David. If anybody else wins, then I'm going to be like, what? What? But, yeah, that's just how I feel. But now on to some iconic quotes and moments. So the first one was Louis washing up and cooking and just being absolutely hopeless at both things. I actually don't think he's ever done housework in his life, which just makes me chuckle. I actually don't know how he survived in life without doing any housework, which is so funny to me. Then it was Louis getting a massage from Fern and asking for a happy ending. I really... No. I had to rewind it because I was like, hang on a minute, there's no way he just said that. Does he know what that... No, surely not. Surely this dirty old man was not saying that to Fern Britton. Oh, Jesus Christ. And then when Coulson was talking about who he thought was going to come in for Louis, he was like, I was really hoping it was Jeff Wood. Which the entire audience was hoping for as well, because they have been so vocal about their hatred for Louis Walsh, which is so funny. So, yeah, that was excellent. And then last but not least was Bradley absolutely destroying Coulson's nails. I don't know what he was doing, but it was not good. And, yeah, honestly, fat 0 out of 0. 0 out of 10 from Bradley. I don't think he could go into manicures because that was something else, definitely. So that is all we have time for today. Thank you guys very, very much for watching. By the time you're watching this, we'll know who the winners are, but the episode will be out tomorrow with my thoughts and feelings on the 5 finalists. So without much further ado, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Keep on ranting. Bye now.